Hamilton has impressed us all with his strategy, stuck to his game plan, and now here he is getting ready to battle for the win at Daytona.
Got a side-by-side battle for the lead. Whoa, problems early on. Chaffin gets spun around and upside down. Chaffin back onto his wheels, and we were on board with Dennis Setzer.
Dennis made some contact. Looks like he was trying to bump draft him.
Okay, let's see what happened. Looks like bump drafting might be. Yeah, Dennis gave him a little shot.
Wow, completely over. Here goes Terry. Boy, Terry had a wild ride through the grass. He was fortunate that his truck stayed down. You see the roof flap just deploy.
Let's take another look at that one.
Bam, Dennis right there. Give him a little shot in the back and turn Chad's truck around and over, by the way.
Wow, what a view that was.
And hit on the left front wheel, so I'm sure some suspension damage to that, Ray.
The opening race in the 2005 Truck Series season had Chad Chaffin flip at Daytona down the backstretch, land on all four tires, and the unfortunate part was it wasn't even caught on camera live. But we knew something has happened from the onboard camera before it cut. Regardless of what happened, the 30 truck would slide in the grass, do a barrel roll in the air, land on all four tires, and keep on going. This is like superhero stuff doing in a stock car. Thankfully, he was okay, and he was actually able to drive away and drive to his pit stall. That's impressive, if you ask me. To have a truck to land like that and not to fully brake.
Newman backed up to Blaney. Big run coming here.
To the inside, Newman to the front.
Nothing Denny Hamlin could do. What can Ryan Blaney now do? Here comes a push from Denny Hamlin. Oh, this thing's not over yet. Not at all.
Ryan Newman off turn 4 for the final time. Blaney to the outside, to the inside. Here comes Hamlin up the outside.
Wow.
Crash into the wall, into the air. Goes Newman.
Upside down.
In a shower of sparks on his roof, Ryan Newman comes across the line, 4th. And comes to rest. Scoring unofficial.
One of the scariest races I've seen in my lifetime was definitely the 2020 Daytona 500. Seeing that amazing finish unfold to disaster instantly. Ryan Newman's car would get flipped and turned upside down, and Corey LaJoie would hit him driver's side first at over 200 miles per hour. Newman was basically knocked unconscious immediately, and he has no memory of this accident, thank goodness. I don't think anybody would want to remember this. But Ryan Newman survived one of the most horrific crashes in NASCAR history on the biggest stage possible. Coming to the finish of the Daytona 500, it looked to be the day Newman would win a second Daytona 500. He would block Ryan Blaney successfully, and then Blaney would go to push him to the win, as Blaney said. Blaney was unable to successfully lock bumpers with Newman, pushing him, turning him sideways across the track. This is where Corey LaJoie would hit him after he would flip over from contact with the wall. In this amazing finish, Newman somehow still survived.
And you have to guess which one.
Well, that's why he's doing what he's doing. It's just all over the racetrack.
Elliot Sadler over 1.5 and on his roof. Caution is out.
There he is, right in the middle.
And these guys are Dyson. Go ahead, BP.
And there he makes contact. He comes down trying to get in front of Kurt Busch. They make contact. Watch that thing fall. You know, it lands on that road you talked about.
And then when it gets onto the racetrack again, takes another nasty flip. Watch this hit.
That's a hard one right here.
Oh, man.
They all look pretty hard. Really do. I don't want to be in there in any of them.
Like I said, that car really held up well above the driver.
But you see the hood flopping around and the deck lid, the tethers that NASCAR has these teams installed to keep the hood and deck lid work.
He took the steering wheel off right away.
Yeah.
Elliot Sadler has had some wild rides in NASCAR. He's had the infamous 2010 crash at Pocono. He's flipped at Talladega multiple times, but the worst one was the 2003 crash down the backstretch. Elliot Sadler would get turned down the backstretch and then go barrel rolling in the air, landing on all four tires. This was one of the most iconic flips in NASCAR, especially in the mid-2000s when it was at its peak in popularity. Seeing the M&M car fly down the backstretch in the air, barrel rolling, was definitely a sight to see.
3 Fords have separated themselves. A big push coming now for Harvick. Oh, and around goes a couple cars. Preece upside down. He's barrel rolling through the grass. Ryan Preece upside down in the infield. Caution has come out. He's on his wheels. There was fire off the left side of the car.
It's a push from the 43 car, and it's airborne. I mean, I thought that maybe it hit, you know, the road course or some curbing or something on the...
Yeah, he's got to get to the top. The top's going to have the biggest energy here. 21's going to come with a huge shove.
They are 2 and 3 wide behind him. Crossover,
Here he
that's
comes.
Austin Hill in the 21. Big crash, up and over. Caution is out. That's Elliot Snyder.
Looks like he's moving around, winning that down. That's a good sign. I believe Austin Hill's got this.
And the leader, Austin Hill. But keep this in mind, we freeze the field when the caution comes out on the final lap, so NASCAR will have to review.
In 2022, Elliot Snyder kicked off the Xfinity Series in the air that landed in the catch fence, ripping the back of his car apart and flying the engine out and putting it on the racetrack. This was an extremely dangerous crash and a horrifying one to witness. Thankfully, Elliot Snyder just left this accident with just a few bruises. That just shows how remarkable the safety has been in NASCAR over the last 25 years. To have a car that has gone over the catch, that has had a car fly into the air, into the catch fence, ripping it to shreds, and the driver being okay. Thankfully, Elliot Snyder walked away from this accident, because it was horrifying to watch.
We've heard, oh, here's a car upside down.
Big time crash upside down.
It's Ryan Newman. See Kevin Harvick there. Marcus Ambrose.
Ambrose is there, comes across. Harvick stops, and Newman's car comes to rest upside down on its roof. We were hoping it would not happen, and here with 5 laps to go, indeed it has.
Hell of a job.
I don't know what started that, but you see quite a bit of damage on that car. Flipped over 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, I was looking out the window, but I could not see. That's so far. That's the furthest point away from us. Just couldn't tell what was going on there.
The safety crews are there immediately. They get in the car and will try to communicate with the driver.
Six years later, but on the backstretch, Ryan Newman would also be flipped over. This time it was completely flipped over where his car landed on his roof and it was difficult for him to exit his vehicle after the accident. Ryan Newman is a very tall man, and to get him out of a vehicle as flipped over was a tall task. They didn't want to injure Newman in the process. What had happened was he got spun down the backstretch, and with these COT cars in the wing, it just put his car in the air and it went nose first on the ground, and then the wing landed on Kevin Harvick's windshield. Now that's extremely dangerous to have happen. Newman's car would then go sliding back up across the racetrack and barrel rolling until it landed in the grass upside down.
2 cars get that big a lit run on them. I don't know that the 39 and the 88 can catch them.
They're in the draft of Edwards and Keselowski.
He's all over you here, just you and him.
Carl Edwards restarted 8th.
If that 09 can stay hooked to the back of that 99, it's going to be hard to get them. It's going to be close right here at the line.
Can Keselowski try to win it?
I don't know. I don't think he can step out until he waits till the last second and picks up.
He goes to the outside. Is Edwards going?
Oh, no!
He turns him.
No!
Oh, and that destroyed the front end of Newman's car.
No!
Edwards will not make it to the flag.
Oh,
Brad Keselowski won this race.
Unbelievable.
Carl Edwards' car destroyed, and Junior's protege, Keselowski, the winner, and Carl Edwards is moving around and ready to climb out.
Larry, look at that. The carburetor's gone off.
It's completely gone.
Carl did what he wanted to do. He stayed at the back all day long. He played it smart. Had this race possibly won. Not now. Not sure where Carl's going. Maybe he thinks if he runs across the start-finish line, it'll count.
That's what he's doing. That's what he's doing.
He's like a you know how he is. He's an athlete, a marathon runner. I want to finish the race.
And he did,
yes,
to
he
a
did.
standing ovation from the crowd. Shades of Ricky Bobby.
And who
Half
do
a
you...
second. And the 99 has turned over Brad Keselowski.
And we have a caution.
My goodness.
I don't know if I'm okay.
Keselowski was on track for a 6th place finish.
Boy,
and we're told there was contact between Edwards and Keselowski.
And have we seen that somewhere once before?
Talladega last year and early in this race at lap 41.
A little crossover move here by Carl. Clean here, clean here. Just slight contact.
Oh,
look at that thing go.
That looks so much like Edwards' turnover at Talladega off the bumper of Keselowski.
It really did, and I'm so wondering and hoping that when they put the spoiler back on these cars, they'll quit turning over like this.
Keselowski's put the window net down.
The roof flaps deployed, but it did not sit that car back down. I'm like you, Darrell. I'm going to be so glad to see that rear spoiler back on these cars.
I think that's it's got to be something to that.
That car took a hard hit in the left A pillar, the windshield post right in front of the driver.
One of the biggest rivalries in NASCAR was between Carl Edwards and Brad Keselowski. Carl Edwards, the established veteran, was upset at the way Keselowski had raced him at Talladega in 2009. This would result in Edwards flipping over Brad Keselowski at Atlanta in 2010, causing Keselowski to go spinning down the front stretch, flying in the wall and hitting roof first. This was one of the most horrific crashes in NASCAR at Atlanta Motor Speedway we've ever seen. Thankfully, Keselowski was okay after this, but NASCAR instantly penalized Carl Edwards, saying he was no longer allowed to continue racing that afternoon.
Keselowski 22, Stewart 33, and contact! Smith turned around. Tommy Stewart is going to win this race. And a terrible crash coming to the finish.
This is a big, big wreck.
Kyle Larson's car with the front end severely torn off. He's bailing out of the car. Part of that car did pierce the catch fencing shy of the start-finish line. You see some of the others involved. In that melee, coming to the finish line, a car, Larson's, was turned up into the catch fencing, the safety fencing separating the racetrack from the grandstand.
The first time I ever heard the name Kyle Larson was during this 2013 NASCAR Nationwide Series race at Daytona. Coming to the completion of the race, Regan Smith would get turned across the front stretch, collecting a massive crash behind him, which would ensue Kyle Larson's car going so high it would enter the catch fence, releasing his front tire into the grandstands. In my opinion, there's no scarier accident at racetracks than when things fly into the grandstands. Being a spectator, you're supposed to be able to watch the race and enjoy it, but having a car flip into the fence and into the grandstands almost is horrific.
Junior back to the front. Another hood flap flies off. Oh, around goes the 18. The 42 collects the 17 as well. The 62 upside down. Brendan Gaughan upside down as he went back in front of the pack.
We're wrecked here, guys.
And the big one happens right at the front of the field.
Wow, it's crazy. Brendan Gaughan just flipped around, fortunately landed on his tires.
pushing Kyle. It just hooked him. And look at Brendan Gaughan just flipping right over. It's like the nose of that Chevrolet just can't quite push him straight.
The 2019 race at Talladega in the playoffs saw Brendan Gaughan competing for the win, but at the same time he was leading the race, he actually was flipping through the air and barrel rolling. Brendan Gaughan was unfortunately the unlucky one to be flying through the air at Talladega, but you know what? I give him the effort. He said in his interview after the crash that he tried to keep going. He wanted to continue the race after he flipped over, but the car was sustained too much damage. Brendan Gaughan is a driver that we will definitely miss racing in the Cup Series and superspeedway races, as he's now retired from that. And this was kind of his final send-off in an epic way.
To go to victory lane this year, what a hard tumble for Kyle Larson.
And that was after a really hard hit with that front nose to the inside wall.
It just won't stop.
The 38 goes up the racetrack, makes contact with the 24 Byron. And that sends Jeffrey Earnhardt and Kyle Larson. Look at the air get under the right rear of the 42.
Wow.
Heavy contact with that right front. Left front.
A safer barrier was there. Thank goodness for that. But watch this thing. Once it starts flipping, it's like a feather. It just won't stop.